Turner is officially a Philadelphia Philly, going to the defending NL champions, on the cusp of winning a World Series, but falling short to the Houston Astros. The Phillies decided to double down and add more to their starting lineup. Trae Turner, I think he's the definition of when you talk about a 5-tool player. He's got the speed. He's got a little bit of pop. He hits for average. He's got defense. He's flexible. You can use it in the outfield, sometimes in the infield. There's so much things to like about what Trae Turner brings that he's an immediate great addition to this lineup. And I'm thinking about this lineup right now. It's like murderous row. You go down Trae Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Rhys Hoskins, Realmuto, Harper, Castellanos, if he figures it out. Baum started coming around late in the season. They really got something special in the lineup. My only question and kind of like pushback on the Phillies in general is like, I feel like they should have been spending their money more in the rotation and the bullpen, because that was what killed them against the Astros. But it's never a bad thing to add a Trae Turner. What do you think of the specifics of the deal? What we're talking about, 11-year contract. We haven't seen a lot of these working in the MLB.
So that's the interesting part, because it's an 11-year contract, and I don't know the year-to-year details, but from the base level details, it feels like the Phillies kind of prepared themselves for this situation, because MLBTradeRumors.com, which does a great projection of what contracts will look like based on wins above replacement and statistics.
Sorry to interrupt. MLBTradeRumors.com. It's like the worst URL ever. I mean, it's straight to the point, but it just, the fact that it's such a thing to type into a search bar.
Yeah.
Regardless. Great site. My one criticism.
I understand the critique. So their projections had it set that Trae Turner would get an 8-year contract hanging around the 270 to 280 mark, which is interesting because he got an 11-year contract at 300. So the average annual value is less than what was expected on a Trae Turner contract. At the same time, Trae Turner's getting paid through his age 40 season, which is interesting because I go to the stereotypes of well, his game is built on speed, but also his game is built on power. So that ages well, but speed doesn't. So I don't know whether that's playing it safe or playing it not. Trae Turner just decided that he would rather secure the contracts for the rest of his career than play the Edwin Encarnacion or the Nelson Cruz game of trying to get another contract at age 37. So no shame in that. Good idea. He'll get $10 million his last few years. Probably easy for the Phillies to get out of that deal if it goes south. And I personally don't think it will. I think he'll be the shortstop for the next decade in Philadelphia. And if you're the Phillies, you're paying that money to secure your shortstop for the next 10 years, which I think that the details of the trade are interesting, or the details of the signing are interesting. And also, as you relate to it's never a bad thing to add a guy like Trae Turner, who the last 3 years finished second, and third among shortstops in WAR. It's never awful to add that, especially when Trae Turner was communicating for 5 months that he wanted to go to the East Coast, and specifically he wanted to go to either the Phillies or Mets. So it's not a bad thing when the second best shortstop in baseball says he wants to play for your
guess
team.
That's also a win too, right? If you could keep him out of a division rival's hands. You mentioned if the Mets were the second choice, good thing the Phillies were able to keep him in their building, not let him go. Now, I look at the Phillies. Last year, their World Series run, and there's a lot of dumb luck baseball that sometimes happens here and when teams advance to the World Series. But they were that team of destiny up until they hit the Astros, right? Now, with Trae Turner, with this lineup, and we talked about the lineup last offseason, we knew what this lineup was going to provide to us. Are they now the favorites in the NL?
Not the favorites, but I also think all three of those teams are probably going in with even odds at this point. Okay, just because there's so many variables.
We're saying they're on the same tier as, I'm guessing, the Dodgers and the Padres? Are the Padres now with that team, or the Braves jumping up to that team?
So here's what I would say. If we're talking about to win the National League, I would put the Dodgers ahead of everyone else. If we're talking about just the National League East, so we're talking about the Braves, Mets, and Phillies, I think those three teams are even, and then the Dodgers are ahead of them. The Padres, their roster's in flux right now, so I'm going to leave that to the side. But if we're talking about betting odds for the National League East, I'd put all three teams at about the same right now. And I think that's because there's a lot more still to be decided, of course, but I think Mets, Phillies, and Braves are all about the same when it comes to who wins the National League East.
Now, if they have any money to spend still, I would say put your sights on someone like maybe a Carlos Rodon, because this team does need extra pitching help. I just can't see them going into another postseason, just trying to get the best. Zach Wheeler's a stud, but he got eaten alive. Nola started to come apart in the NLCS and never really figured it out going into the World Series. I just don't think you could go into the playoffs again with that same rotation, that same bullpen, and hope to continue doing the same run. I think that
betting on Ranger Suarez pitching 14 consecutive scoreless innings. You don't want to bet on Ranger Suarez giving you 14 consecutive scoreless innings.
Not again. It was a great story in 2022, but on a year-to-year basis, I would probably bet against that. But I can bet on this lineup. This lineup is fantastic. I think the Phillies have done a great job building it. And I think that's going to be why they're going to be, once again, one of the best teams in the National League. But anyway, guys, let us know in the comment section below. Where do you think this puts the Phillies amongst the NL contenders? I'd like to hear your thoughts. Leave a like on the video, follow our channel, subscribe to us on all platforms, follow us on social media. From Juju and Kyle, stay safe, happy, and healthy. We'll see you next time.